plant you forgot to water. But maybe it's time to leave your desk and spend your lunch break volunteering with Meals on Wheels.
Doing Meals on Wheels for me is the joy that I look for at the end of my week. I'll come to the door with one meal and I'll walk away with a full heart.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org. That's americaletsdolunch.org. Brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. Be a part of the show by calling 915-544-KTSM, 915-544-5876, or comment online on our stream at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time to talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk, whichever way works for you to be able to see the show, tune in, participate to your little satisfaction as we, of course, are taking those comments, dropping those likes and reacts already, like Monica Cervantes over on the Facebook page, or phone calls a little bit later in the show as we normally do. All of that's available, and whatever works best for you is the best place for you to be as we continue, of course, at the start of this week, getting just a little bit too close for comfort to the end of August. I got to say, where the hell did the rest of this month go? But we got plenty of stuff we're going to be talking about today. But again, those two missions about having live local radio here in the Borderland, because damn it, I think we deserve it, and also continuing to be able to talk about the things that go on and affect us here, because no one else is going to be doing and having that discussion in the many, many interesting ways that often takes place. Like the people who live, work, play, raise families, live, spend their lives, or spend their weekends doing DIY, as I primarily did. And I've got the chunks of epidermis off my fingers to show for it. We got some roof repairs and a lot of glues, caulking, and flashing. Oh, and more than a little bit of a spray sealant, I will freely admit, going on for myself there. So I hope y'all had a more relaxing one maybe then. But as we do have the anticipation of some of those weather patterns coming through with another thing called Hillary disrupting lives in a certain amount of ways, expected at least remnants of come through our area. And of course, there are the reports coming from across the country of maybe not total devastation, certainly not in comparison to other more recent events, but still hefty amounts of rains, and we might be in store for some of that here in our area. So batten down the hatches, folks, if you are so inclined. I mean, may not be exactly torrential in our area, but still, since I had a roof leak already, that's what I spent my weekend doing. But plenty of other things going on and immediately and directly going on here in the Borderland, including some other commentary on the weather patterns, including a notable heat exhaustion treatment that happened over the weekend, or right before the weekend, I guess would be the right way to put it here. But also the conversation about crime prevention, lowering violent crime rates, continuing on here in the region. Not a totally expected topic to come up here, but taking on a new facet at the start of this week, as now El Paso County commissioners have approved a gun buyback program in a bid to, deal with that issue. And again, seeing the issues with the crime rate. But there's been a few stories about this that's kind of percolated in, particularly towards the end of last week. So focus on that one a little bit more, including some more about crime labs and availabilities. Also, that veto of the curfew program being removed in El Paso, because there are some more state laws and things going on there. Now, it's not the Death Star law as it's been put, but a different specific state law that was going to put the kibosh on that. But the mayor saying basically, let's see about that, as we have both Marco from Mayor Chill Music over on the YouTube, howdy to you as well, and Angel Ruedo with the happy Monday, certainly to you as well, along with the wave. Do appreciate that. So we'll delve into that, as along with a lot more fun on the roadways, some temporary lane closures and such continuing to be announced, but also more from the state aspect, another law coming into effect about electric vehicles and what that will be. I mean, an additional fee going into it, and what is all behind it, as we've also had some serious across the state power issues going on, a couple coming late last week and over the weekend as well. So the heat continues apace for many parts, including, of course, for the Borderland, even as we have some more things going on, more events to be talked about as well. So it's a very busy one. And one interesting note, a Back to the Future kind of moment, at least it feels like that to me, as there's a pilot program to start doing returnable glass bottles in El Paso. One of the only in the country, actually. So we'll delve into that because I'd seen inklings about it coming around town. And so knowing that it's actually going to be part of a full-fledged program that is being piloted in our region is very interesting indeed, because you might think like, wait, didn't that used to happen? Okay, not really my lifetime. I remember maybe a couple of places growing up that did that or were interested in that, mostly in the we will recycle the bottle kind of thing, but actually like refillable, more than just recyclable bottles, coming back in apparently a big way. Also, some other things going on, including continued kerfuffle over PE, physical education, in one of El Paso's largest school districts that just kind of seems to baffle me. Maybe I'm not coming at it from the right direction, but those are just a few of the things percolating through, and of course we'll continue talking about as we progress through today. So hope you all are definitely ready for another busy week, another week with a lot of things going on, but we'll keep our level best to delve into as much as we can. So from our news partners at KFOX 14, both reported on over the weekend, and now with the confirmation, specifically the reporting from Giovanni Carrillo, El Paso County Commissioners approved funding for gun buyback program. This was first proposed, specifically, I do believe, by Commissioner Carlos Leon, having submitted the item for this Monday's meeting, and now coming through the progression of it going through, the idea being behind it to try to deal with the issues, particularly when it comes to violence and crime in the area, specifically about $300,000 anticipated to be coming from specifically American Recovery Plan Act. They do have the full document, the scope and the buyback, etc. on it, and how it would work, and some other, I guess, best practices as part of it, including examples from like Harris County, City of Houston, Bexar County. Yes, Bexar County is the way they say it. Anyway, even if around here we'd say it Bejar, but that's their phrasing. And so being approved, though there has been some interesting discussion on it. So the initial item over the weekend from our news partners at KFOX 14 being about to discuss gun buyback programs, again, submitted by Commissioner Leon on this idea, and some others talking about it and responding to it in the community, saying that it could be interesting. I'm a little bit dubious, and there have been others on County Commissioner's Court about the same thing. And kind of my perspective has been along the lines of, is it more feel good than it is effective? Not exactly security theater, but maybe closer to it than we're willing to admit. And there was some conversation in Commissioner's Court, again, according to our news partners at KFOX 14, specifically County Commissioner David Stout from Precinct 2 said, quote, "These programs don't reduce gun violence in large part because they don't result in taking away guns from people who aren't supposed to have them. There's just not a lot of evidence that they reduce crime," which is, again, the set idea for it. And the $300,000 intended to go to one major event that would be scheduled to take place October 28th at Escalante Park, which, of course, is a county park, among other things. So the idea of it, and again, you can see the full scope and some of the reasoning behind it. I mean, important issues to be certain here, including that, firearms and particularly misuse of them, leading cause of death in youth. I mean, sure, including suicides, but I think that is also the point of it as well. And so the idea of getting a gift card or some form or format of compensation for bringing it in, I mean, it's been an idea that is put forth in a variety of ways, and of course shown in many different ways in popular media, and this would be a no questions asked / anonymous participation, or at the very least those are some of the best practices that have been shown on this here, and that the gift card and a compensation structure should, this is just an interesting note from the item itself here on the county commissioner's agenda, should the compensation structure should incentivize participation and de-incentivize opportunists and scams. Because, yes, I am very aware of that. Some of y'all enterprising individuals out there have been doing Saturday night specials would be a generous description for what I've seen online in the past. So, yeah. And so the idea of particularly partnering with the community organizations. So, I mean, on the surface level, I get it. It's the idea of like getting them out of the way. Sounds like a good idea. But again, the actual impact that it has on crime rates is kind of another one overall. And that's been a pretty large discussion in the community overall, hasn't it? Among other things, of course, a backlog of criminal cases. And coming in late last week and just over the weekend, we had been talking about how the local district attorney for El Paso, Bill Hicks, been changing the docket around a little bit in order to help deal with the backlog of cases. Yeah, there is still one difference than his predecessor had, at the very least the way they're talking about it, in the idea that the crime lab for Texas DPS specifically, in order to be able to do some of those very important talk screenings, material sciences, all the things that go into the whole evidence portion of what you do when you're getting to trial, which is, again, ever so slightly important, that there has been. So he was looking at the district attorney for El Paso, that is, looking at basically trying to move up and focus on the cases where that wasn't at issue, where the material sciences overall, whether it be, chemical, and any of the processes required in it, let's just put it that way, that would have to go through the state crime lab, being less at issue in order to basically give more time for that catch up. And so what is new as of today is that DPS for Texas Department of Public Safety state troopers have secured $15 million to expand crime lab and tackle the toxicology, specifically backlog in El Paso, because, sure, breathalyzers, but given the fact that there's been the, what's the focus on it? The, no refusal weekends going on, those kind of things, not solely related to that, because among other things, in those circumstances, there's getting of warrants and immediate testing in order to book people under it, but still having the full amount of, again, evidence, which our system is predicated upon when it comes to legal decisions, again, ever so slightly important. So the idea of having more, and specifically for this area, and specifically, according to District Attorney Hicks, this is enough to buy new land and build a whole new building, adding 41 people to the department, including a toxicology program coordinator, 2 research scientists, and a system trainer. So that's an interesting expansion of it, but we'll just see how long that ends up taking and how long that still ends up needing to be, that there is more of that, again, backlog to be addressed. A couple other things we're relating to well, maybe not crime and punishment overall, but certainly some of the issues, and particularly the idea of, crime prevention as much as it can be gotten to. But we'll talk about that if we take that next break right now, including that decision coming from Mayor Oscar Leeser to put the kibosh on some local efforts to deal with some of the state's level efforts of putting the kibosh on that local curfew. That's as clear as mud. Don't worry, I'll clear it all up, and talk about it further after we come back from this first break of this hour. You're, of course, tuned in to Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Whole lot more to come, whole lot more discussion, a whole lot more about what's going on and affecting us here in the Borderland after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Don't go anywhere. Ruli's International Kitchen, sponsor of Talk El Paso. If you missed their most recent Rick at Night, or even their brunch, don't forget, they got plenty of stuff going on for you over the weekend. They've still got plenty of specials, including, of course, daily happy hours. Not today, they're closed Mondays, but be sure to check them out any other day of the week for those special occasions, or the everyday celebration that comes from just, wanting to have a good meal, including their famous double-baked wings. And some very specific requests and things. There, I got new features at the front door that I'm always happy to check out and see what they got going on, and had a little chance to go and stop by with them for one of our recent business meetings, because, it's just a good, chill place to go and hang out. And again, some of the great, both local flavors, but international fusion that comes around with it. So you can find them online at rulisik.com. That's RULISIK.com, or find them just, down the street from us here, 4176 North Mesa, right off of I-10 and Executive and Mesa, or give them a call. Make your reservation for whatever the occasion is at 915-313-4806. That's 915-313-4806. Ruli's International Kitchen.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Just one minor crash to report right now. Northbound Yarborough approaching Montana. An accident with police on the scene. 54 south between Stan Roberts and Kenworthy. Got 9-minute delays. It's less than a 5-minute delay northbound Mesa from downtown to I-10 Desert Boulevard. On-ramp still closed. I-10 westbound at Artcraft through tomorrow. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Fall into autumn hiring with Indeed. Their all-in-one solution makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates. Sponsor a job and immediately get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
The annoying runny nose, the constant sneezing, the itchiness, and battle just to catch your breath. If you suffer from seasonal allergies, sinusitis, or nagging sinus congestion, there's a natural, easy-to-use solution that can help provide fast, drug-free relief. It's called Navage, and it uses powered suction to rinse your nasal passages in seconds. Millions of people use Navage daily to help provide relief from seasonal allergies and sinus congestion. Medications treat the symptoms, but Navage treats the problem at the source, flushing out the allergens and pollen trapped in your nose. Navage also helps wash out airborne bacteria, dust, dirt, and viruses quickly and painlessly so you can get back to breathing clearly again. Say goodbye to sinus suffering and hello to better breathing with Navage. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, Target, CVS, Rite Aid, and online at Navage.com. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
With the Audio app riding shotgun, every road trip is an adventure.
Audio is my traveling companion. It's educational, entertaining, funny. It makes the drive come to life.
The Audio app automatically plays you stories about the natural wonders, local legends, and fascinating histories outside your car window, with over 10,000 unique stories from coast to coast.
I've learned more about my hometown from the Audio app than I did growing up here.
Audio, the perfect companion for your next road trip. Learn more at AUTIO.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Freedom of speech lives here.
To me, freedom of speech is being able to say anything you want.
El Paso's News Radio, 690 KTSM. El Paso's News Radio, 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on whatever social media channel suits you the best, be it Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.tv. I guess there's technically a couple in between, or might be being shared other places, but again, wherever works for you is the right place for you to be as we continue our missions to talk about what's going on and how it affects us here in the Borderland. A lot of people chiming in with that as well, including those dropping those likes and reacts, such as Ida Beza Gardner, Robbie Flores, Monica Cervantes, and Angel Rueda, along with Sean Gardner, wishing everyone a good afternoon. Also, Marky Mendigo with a good afternoon. Do appreciate it. Ida Beza Gardner a little bit early with the high and the wave. Do appreciate it there as well. And others chiming in, including mentioned otherwise, and some responses already, such as Angel Rueda saying gun buyback. No thanks. Wonder how many punks steal guns from grandpa to turn them in for cash. I mean, sure, that can be a thing. I think that at least the trope is anyway. I don't have like firm numbers to look at. Is that it's a, grandpa or whoever the previous generation was left into the new one but never like told them about it. And that's where you end up with things with like original STG 44s. I've seen the pictures and I've cried over them myself as well, being turned in for the, $100 gift card to some store or something like that. Just for those who aren't familiar, that gun in even decent condition, being an original, would go for easily thousands of dollars. And also the historical value beyond that goes with it. So at the very least, know what you got. And if you just want to get rid of something, I guess it's better than a turn-in. But also, some others saying, like John Brazelton, I need a few more weapons. Or Marky Mandingo saying the opportunist part of it. They haven't said how much it would be for, and they have noted in the best practices that they would want to discourage such a thing. But I'll just say that I've seen some other enterprising individuals and kind of flipping the script a little bit, saying, oh, you want $100 for that? I'll give you $200. Again, no idea of the pricing or what's going to go on with this one, but I'm just saying, particularly for those that are inclined to do so or wanting to deal with it, I don't know. I don't even know if it'll be allowed. Don't violate policies. Let's just put it that way. But other conversation going on, including John Browson bringing up that parts of California received 10 inches of rain. El Paso could use at least half. Now, I'm not pretending to, even as I guess play one on radio occasionally. We have the weather updates that we trust from our news partners at KFOX 14. By my reading of the radar, it doesn't look like many of the weather bands coming here. We are looking at increased rain chances this week just because of the usual weather patterns, I guess, which is again why I was on my roof for a good chunk of this weekend, putting up a new tar paper, removing the increasing project creep is very real. That's the tagline for my weekend and the way I put it, and why I should probably be investing in some of those, automatic spray sealants, because I've used enough of them / inhaled enough. I might be part roof at this point. But, and Marky Mandingo saying if El Chuco got 5 inches of rain, the city would shut down for days. I mean, okay, California did maybe get off lighter than expected, but by no means completely unscathed. There isn't much about there being, in fact, I'm not aware of any deaths that are being mentioned, but there are dozens of miles of I-10 in that area that have been shut down, certain areas that are considered still kind of cut off or difficult to access. So it's a problem, and they still got some of those bans coming through. So it may or may not actually come to our area, but we're looking at rain chances anyway. So just, be careful out there. And yeah, 5 inches would be mild. Okay. Don't want to overput it here, but the phrase that comes to my mind is mildly apocalyptic, in that people would freak out for a couple of days and then we'd probably be fine. Just remember, as is always important, turn around, don't drown. We do have some roadways that can get very, very deep when you don't know what it is, and some roadways that keep being worked on with it. And RJ, welcome me to homeownership. Elastometric. Yeah, there have been a lot of phrases and phrase works. Listen, I am just putting down essentially goops of polymer enough. Eventually we're going to have to, we got this one flat roof semi patio section that we're going to have to rip up the tar paper of. May have accidentally done some in trying to remove the previous hasty repair that were done by previous homeowners / some of the transitional projects. So I've got my work cut out for me, and I'm probably right after the show going to go back and do more of that, assuming we didn't get any too heavy showers in my neck of the woods. Not anticipated, not expected at the very least, from some of the predictive radar from our news partners at KFOX 14, but who knows? We could be in store for it. Remember, the rain chances, the way they're brought up, is not about how heavy is it going to be, the 10% chance. It means that somewhere in our area is going to. Again, that's, 10% chance means that 10% of the area is likely to get it. So just keep that in mind, because you're making decisions on if you need to finish that roof repair project or not. Rick Ray is bringing up another important point, though, that goodbye the 100+ degrees, at least until next year. That is some of the anticipation, though there has been a whole lot more going into that, including, of course, that there was a couple of things going on over the weekend and at the end of last week with the rest of Texas, the ERCOT, for the, what is the actual name of it? I just call it ERCOT all the time. The Electric Reliability Council of Texas. There we go. The one that basically controls the grid for the rest of the state for everything east of Van Horn, if you're looking at it from our perspective anyway, and the one that had, some notable issues. They had issued a couple of conservation calls for both late last weekend, over the weekend, as noted by the Texas Tribune. Thursday afternoon, there was a expected spike demand, and also late Sunday, where they were being asked to reduce their electricity. On Sunday, it was from 7 to 10 p.m. Similar type of hours being considered. 3 to 8 p.m. was the call for Thursday. But, I mean, we're at, what's my handy-dandy document here telling me? Okay, it was telling me 99 as we were coming into the station right before the show. So that is, okay, we're probably getting there, but at least not 100+ anyway. There was an interesting actual direct impact to be seen, is that there was actually a band member for the Motley Crue show that had to be, I believe, got some medical treatment. Heat exhaustion symptoms during that Sun Bowl concert. If you're wondering what was going on with the major messes pretty much right after our show late last week, there was the Motley Crue, Def Leppard, and technically also featuring Alice Cooper, though I ended up going to that myself. We completely missed Alice Cooper because of the insane traffic. From here at the station, it said it would be about a half-hour hike to get up to the Sun Bowl, and we're like, oh no, we'll definitely be able to get there further. Spoiler alert, we super weren't, and it was pretty hot out there. And also, any of those performers on stage there, I mean, even after the sun went down, none of them were moving on, not a lot. So glad that they're doing right. Nita Strauss specifically noted that being treated and still doing the show, but the guitarist apparently fine now, but kind of a symptom of why we have and what you need to know about it. And El Paso Matters also having that, predictive headline, El Paso's record hot summer is winding down, probably, as they further noted. So, I mean, yeah, in Marky Mandingo saying Indian summer will be 100 a few more times. That, I'm not going to willing to bet on the weather because that just sounds insane to me, but that sounds a reasonable expectation to be had. So if you've been putting off like AC or cooler repairs, maybe put that back on the front burner, just saying. Also, when it comes to the issues surrounding heat and particularly the grid, an interesting thing that it had been being suggested, but specifically, and this being reported widely both across the state and by some of our local, there is a Senate Bill 505 that is going to be putting it as that the new electric vehicles. I do believe this comes into effect. This is one of those September 1st bills. I do believe so. Need to double check that here in just a second, but it's going to be putting the cost for electric vehicles, a built-in one, essentially for, okay, it's not registration, it is a fee or a tax, probably more accurately, that is going to be going for $200 a year for each electric vehicle. Basically around uses of energy on the grid, strain on the grid, and also the fact that the Texas road maintenance structure is built around the usage fees, but those usage fees come through specifically gasoline subtaxes. Yes, even Texas has them because there is at least a minimum level recognized of needing to do and have things done with the road. That $140+ billion we talked about at the end of last week as the new transportation package put forth by Governor Greg Abbott, of which $2 billion and change coming to our area for, I'm not going to say primarily I-10 projects, but definitely a lot of I-10 projects, but other ones around the area. Yeah, that doesn't come out of nothing, or other state excise fees. Those end up coming primarily from, again, it could be argued, our end user fees. And so that's essentially the argument the state is taking, that this is passing on those fees specifically to that. And again, as noted by our news partners at KFOX 14 and some of the national reporting, is being imposed because lawmakers said EV drivers weren't paying their fair share into a fund that helps cover road construction and repairs across Texas. And the new vehicles, actually, it's interesting, they'll have to prepay 2 years of registration or $400 up front when it comes to that. So it'll probably get added on to anyone who has bought anyone who buys an electric vehicle in these coming months. I'll be very curious to know if anyone could let us know how that ends up being reflected, if it's just part of the purchase agreement. And there has been an uptick in the amount of electric vehicles with the state of Texas, according to some Texas Tribune stats, now over for the fiscal year 2022, over 100,000 versus, I mean, it's less than far less than 10%. And they note actually less than 1%, less than 0.5% actually, of all vehicles in Texas, about 0.41%. So it's not huge, but with the expectation of more coming or being used, it's an interesting possibility, and, well, one that'll probably continue to be debated here. So those are just a few of the weather and or grid issues going on, but we'll get back and talk a little bit more about some of those legal and crime issues, particularly percolating through in and around the region. After we take this next break, you are, of course, tuned in to Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. A lot more discussion about the things going on and affecting us here in the Borderland as we start out the new week after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Don't go anywhere. Hammer and Nails, El Paso's newest men's grooming destination, offering all the services literally head to toe. Official hair and beard sponsors of our show. Those of you who look at us over on social media will know that keeping it looking good, feeling good is definitely their focus, particularly over at Hammer and Nails, where they've got their member services, including debuting now their new Club Luxe, which allows unlimited services for one low monthly fee every month, including bring a friend along. And they've got, again, you covered literally head to toe. Everything from hair, beard services, which I, of course, make very good use of, to hand and foot. They've got Some of the other services I got along there, the skin on my face has never felt smoother than after doing that, along with the premium cut. So if you want to make your appointment with them, of course, you can give them a call at 915-975-5911. That's 915-975-5911, or book it online. Pretty simple. Did it in about 5 minutes myself, even after pondering all of the options. You can, of course, find them online at hammerandnailsgrooming.com. That's hammerandnailsgrooming.com.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this KFOX 14 news update. El Paso County Commissioners voted unanimously today in favor of a gun buyback program. The program would allow gun owners to voluntarily surrender any firearms in exchange for cash, vouchers, gift cards, or similar items in value. The county hopes that by lowering the number of guns in the community, the crime rate will decline. Commissioner Carlos De Leon presented the item on the agenda and is looking to secure $300,000 for the program. The county says the money will come from the federal government's American Rescue Plan. One person was taken to the hospital with serious injuries after being hit by a car in West El Paso. It happened late last night on Remcon Circle and Mesa Street. That crash prompted all lanes on Mesa to be closed for several hours. No word yet on any possible arrests. This has been your KFOX 14 news update. I'm Robert Olgain.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
Seeing some brief stop-and-go traffic on the I-10 eastbound Trans Mountain down to Reds, a 5-minute delay. 54 south is slow from Stan Roberts to Kenworthy with a 7-minute delay. Police are still working an earlier crash northbound Yarborough at Montana. That's also caused some slowing southbound Global Reach from the expressway down to Montana, 10-minute delays. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery. A tropical disturbance moving toward the borderland could help to kick up our storm chances some for our Tuesday and Wednesday. That's what we're going to be watching, and as a result, not as hot, so good news there. Breezy to windy for tomorrow, high around 96 degrees with a 30% chance of showers, possibly a thunderstorm. Breezy conditions for our Wednesday, 30% chance with high around 87. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Discover credit cards do something pretty awesome. At the end of your first year, they automatically double all the cash back you've earned. That's right, everything you earned doubled. The cash back from trips, restaurants, all doubled. Seriously, though, see terms and check it out for yourself at discover.com/match.
Hey guys, this is Andrew J. Polk. My not-so-secret way of looking and feeling great is going to Hammer and Nails, El Paso's newest men's grooming destination, with everything about your personal grooming, privacy, and comfort in mind. Ready with your favorite drink at the door. They offer everything from head to toe, hair, beard, mustache, and hand and foot services. You want to find out about their full services and their great memberships. Of course, find them online, hammerandnailsgrooming.com. That's hammerandnailsgrooming.com, and I'll see you there.
Hi, I'm Burt Ward, Robin from TV's Batman, inviting you to feed your dog natural, non-GMO, Gentle Giants dog and puppy food. Dogs eating Gentle Giants and following our special feeding and care program are living as long as 27 healthy, active years with a wonderful quality of life. Holy wow, 27 years! Think of all the extra years you could enjoy with your dog at Target, H-E-B, and stores near you. Try Gentle Giants cat and kitten food, too.
For the local issues and discussion you won't get anywhere else, turn to Talk El Paso, weekdays at 4 right here on News Radio 690 KTSM, brought to you in part by the El Paso Community Foundation. Sound off on what matters to you, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m., and let's talk El Paso.
Dog days of summer got your business needing help? Check out Indeed, an all-in-one hiring solution that makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 toward your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply. This report is sponsored by Indeed.com.
Text and whatever. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Always just minutes away from the latest news around town and around the world.
You need to know what's going on.
News Radio 690 KTSM. News Radio 690 KTSM.
The Texas Mutual Insurance Company is bringing their Work Safe Texas Summit to the El Paso area on Tuesday, September 19th at the Hotel Paso del Norte in downtown El Paso, bringing safety and compliance information that can help employers protect their workers. It's a 2.5-hour event with a free breakfast. Also does have parking validation provided. So free parking, free breakfast, free event, including a whole lot of details. The 2 interactive Q&A sessions with both OSHA information panel discussion and workplace safety panel discussions, including helpful resources and safety materials, and the opportunity to network with other business owners and safety professionals. Space is limited, so make sure to register by September 12th, coming up before too long here at texasmutual.com/summit. That's again, texasmutual.com/summit. The Texas Mutual Insurance Company WorkSafe Texas Summit, again, happening Tuesday, September 19th at the Hotel Paso del Norte in downtown El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so. Of course, Talk El Paso brought to you in part by, again, the Texas Mutual Insurance Company's WorkSafe Texas Summit, again, happening Tuesday, September 19th in El Paso. You can register today by going, again, to texasmutual.com/summit. Sponsoring the shows here, so we do have their nice banner up on screen, but of course related to what we talk about, particularly when it comes to business and related issues in our region. So again, that WorkSafe Texas Summit happening right here in El Paso, September 19th. Make sure to register by the 12th here. And of course, a lot of people joining us over on the social media, so thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, like Matt Olson with the ever so slightly reserved yo today. Okay, I had a little bit of the inflection myself there, but also some other conversation about some of those public safety issues, or at least ideas of them in our area, like Buddy Vi saying gun buyback, awesome, which, I mean, okay, if you're in favor of it, that's one thing, but Ed Clore saying that as soon as all the criminals turn in their weapons, then you know the rest. Of course, there's some different ideas with that, but Buddy Vi saying, yeah, criminals don't turn in their weapons, they turn in your weapons. And okay, the previous times that we've had it be that specifically there was, forgetting the actual date, within the last few years, definitely not more than 5, it was like in the midst of the pandemic, I'm fairly confident of saying that, there was the incidence of where there was a number, kind of a spree of it. Not sure if they were totally connected, but given the frequency of them happening within like a couple of months or two, and a number of different stores, both here in El Paso and Las Cruces, getting hit, some of the evidence that I'm aware of that came out during it was specifically that these were being taken as implements of further crime, because there was not being, at least at that point in those instances, being focused on like high value items or even ammunition, just basically easily concealable and, well, intimidatable items. Basically, they took handguns, bypassing very expensive rifles, among other things, because, I mean, sure, there might be a, black rifle scary, or I think they're expensive or whatnot. Some of the stuff in wood, particularly when you start getting to the high end, can be ridiculously expensive. And I know there are those that like and peruse those in our area. No hate to them. It's just outside of my price range. But those were specifically moved past. So implements of further crime is the phrase that has stayed with me from there. And maybe this will be effective in some way on that. But again, the purpose isn't even about using the weapon in that case. It's about using it to then do more things with just having the presence of it. So more on that. And Anhal Rueda also saying why it's an asinine idea, especially when no questions are asked. I mean, it doesn't really work any other way, but whether it works at all, using some questions coming from other county commissioners, though I will know that the item was approved unanimously, to my understanding on it there. So other thing, I mean, Buddy Vi is saying as long as guns are taken off the streets, sure. But again, as long as this doesn't devolve into essentially a consideration of security theater, of, we've done something and therefore we're good, particularly since there's been a lot of other things going on when it comes to, even the concept of crime prevention, which can be a little bit hard to nail down, because frankly, the way our law enforcement system is set up, anyone who's seen a Minority Report, which that's a dated film at this point, isn't it? They've got a few things right, like including the concept that is still burgeoning of retinal scanning and targeted ads. That one it definitely got right. But more specifically, the way that we deal with this. A couple of things coming up in the region. This one coming late last week, so we didn't really get into too much on Free for All Friday, so I wanted to bring it up here again. That El Paso's Mayor Oscar Leeser, last week there was the vote by not county commissioners in this case, but city council for the city of El Paso, they did end up voting to end El Paso's youth curfew in deference to a law that is coming into place, one of that September 1st wave. I keep needing to remember that we should do probably the roundup of some of the major ones, but there certainly is one, and that the state law, it's not one of the under the purview of the Death Star law as it's getting put forth, but a separate one. I want to say it's a 18 something, though I don't have that note in front of me in the most recent story. But basically the mayor vetoing the decision by city council by saying, well, is this a good idea? And hearing more specifically from both community partners and law enforcement in the region, saying that, well, I don't know quite if he's going to want to force the showdown on this, but maybe not exactly shying away from what he is quoted as saying to our news partners at KFOX 14 as he spoke with them specifically. You quote, "You can't really have us do this and hurt the counties. Allow us to do what's best for our community, and we'll continue to do the right thing for our people." And further on noting that other large cities across the state, their police departments all oppose it because it's a good tool. They oppose it because it gives them the opportunity to make sure our kids are safe. In this case, referencing opposing the state law that basically you could put it in the vein of the larger and kind of ongoing state level efforts to claw back regulatory authority, which has some debate we've certainly got into, make no mistake, but basically saying that this specific law that makes it so that you cannot have restrictions on the movement of minors except for emergency circumstances. So sure, there is a hurricane, earthquake, natural disaster, you can put on curfews, but in terms of just kind of blanket ones, and the El Paso one, if I'm not mistaken, on the bounds of it here, I do believe it was from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., at least in public areas. And so he's gotten more messages from the community about the veto, among other things. So that's one aspect, I will say, that is involving public safety, though I will also say the other very interesting one, again, further from our news partners at KFOX 14, the 112 people arrested during El Paso Police's violent crime suppression task force operation. They do have a number of the mug shots that are available, though I know a lot of people end up liking to look at the mug shots when we have been more concerned, and in places where I've been more involved with, say, website traffic, they always ended up tipping the scales if people wanted to go through, and I guess either the schadenfreude, wanting to see other people who have done goofed, or of the making sure they're not on there, of which there actually is an item, by the way. El Paso Matters did note that, among other things coming up this week, there is a misdemeanor active warrants that they're looking to do a roundup of. Specifically the El Paso County Sheriff's Office and Court Administration. So over on their site, they do have the lookup to see if you are currently in that list. They're offering until August 27th to have people self-turn in, expedited booking processing for those that self-surrender, but they are guys can do it by August 27th to, as again, El Paso Matters note, to avoid being arrested at home or at work. Search myself up there, and major people I knew, no hits so far, so take a look at that. I mean, it's 4,000, and some of them are duplicates, I did note, or at the very least for very similar type incidents is what it does look like, or maybe even just some slightly different days, like one that's right on the front page, not going to mention the person's name, but 2 different theft of property charges on, February, both 21st and 18th of 2020. So looks like they're dealing with the backlog in their own way. So another aspect of, I guess, crime prevention, or, well, I guess this wouldn't be crime prevention in this case now, would it? But of crime issues, specific reason that I bring up that whole task force, previous one that came out last week, is that specifically this was being noted as by, again, El Paso police in this case, that there was a drop in incidents. Noted that there were 0 murders. Paso, not exactly a murder hotspot, but they do happen. But they did put it overall that there was a 30% drop in violent crime and non-domestic violent crime. And specifically, robbery rate dropped by 17% during the period, aggravated assault dropped by 37%, weapon-related assaults dropped by 8%, and assault on police officers dropped by 6%. Now, whether you want to chalk it up to that, the idea of it happening, whether it be the what do I think of it as, the bat signal effect, knowing that more is going on, therefore those that are inclined towards it maybe punkering down a bit. I don't know. There's a phrase that I think of a lot, that locks keep honest people honest, and that sure, there's an amount of prevention, but those that are really bound and determined are gonna do what they're gonna do. consequences be damned. And I think that really I've been thinking about that most recently because of a comment that we had not too long ago about the idea of crime and punishment, specifically that of the idea of rehabilitation versus, well, just incarceration and punitive measures when it comes to that. Might be a topic we'll have a little bit on later on the show because there's a lot of meat on that bone in its own right. But I guess just when it comes to the idea of crime prevention, again, not really how our system is set up. Again, there's not the pre-crime division in existence anywhere, even if there have been very interesting stories in recent years about the whole idea of predictive algorithms and being more proactive. But that's, I guess, what it really ends up looking like is proactivity or activity at all. Because if there's this idea that, well, nothing will happen, no one will respond, sure, the whole idea of broken windows policing has had its own merits if debates much further on it certainly as well. But, well, yeah, there's a whole lot more that comes into it and a lot more debate that happens with it as well, including Ed Clore saying no governor, no mayor, no judge can make a law. Only a legislative body can do that. Very certainly is the case, but we also, again, do have a lot of those coming online here as we get closer to September. But with that and a whole lot of swirling issues involving crime prevention, crime response, backlogs, and a whole lot more, including power grids and other things going on in our community, let's go ahead and get to those, open up those phone lines and get towards that point and take that next break here during the show. So again, that number to call if you want to get on the line, as we usually do at this point during the program, that number to do so is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned. Mazer Security Alarms, your local El Paso solution for all of your security and prevention needs in their own right for more than 40 years. Trust the experts, those with the certifications and experience to take your needs, whether it be at home, at work, anywhere you want to keep something safe, to offer protection for all and peace of mind for you. Again, locally owned and operated with the certifications to back it up. They can provide you with your free quote to, again, either install or upgrade your existing system, and you can afford the best because they do offer, of course, minimum charges, but there is no job too small or too large. So to find them, make your appointment and see what they can do for you. Give them a call at 915-590-0033. That's 915-590-0033. Mazer Security Alarms.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
No major problems on your Borderland freeways. We have an accident northbound Rich Beam at Zaragoza. Try Pebble Hills or Edgemere to get around the slowing. On the 54 South, Stan Roberts to Kenworthy, it's a 23-minute delay. Global Reach, slow southbound from the Expressway to Montana, 13-minute delays. And less than a 5-minute delay, I-10 eastbound Trans Mountain to Red. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Dog days of summer got your business needing help? Check out Indeed, an all-in-one hiring solution that makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 toward your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Packing for your summer road trip? Leave the travel guide at home and bring the Autio app along for the ride. Autio brings any drive to life with fascinating stories about the places you go, all narrated by expert storytellers. Browse through Autio's more than 10,000 fascinating location-based tales to inspire your travel itinerary and discover unique destinations along the way. Wherever summer takes you, make your next drive an adventure with Autio, the perfect companion for your next road trip. Learn more at autio.com.
Good news, El Paso. The WorkSafe Texas Summit is coming, and it's absolutely free. You don't want to miss this exciting opportunity to get important information that can help you protect your workers. Texas Mutual Insurance Company's innovative safety event features panel discussions, safety materials, and more. It's free, it's informative, and we're even providing breakfast. So join us from 8 to 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday, September 19th at the Hotel Paso del Norte. Register at texasmutual.com/summit.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else. And we can give you access to those potential customers more cost-effectively across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We'd love to show you how iHeartMedia can work for you. From your cell, dial #250 and say keyword great results. That's pound 250 and say great results.
Wendy's BOGO $1 deal is back at participating Wendy's. Buy a Dave single, spicy chicken sandwich, 10-piece nugs, or medium frosty, and get another for $1. Double your deliciousness. Hurry, this BOGO deal won't last.
Recently, we hit the streets and found out how informed people really are.
Yes, I'm on top of events.
Most news, yes.
Except for these two.
I am not on top of events.
I'm not on top of my events, no.
They were clueless that every morning they can plug into the world with the news, weather, and traffic info that'll make their lives so much easier and more informed. Just like you and I do. Stay informed with El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM. News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so. A lot of ways to interact with the program, particularly at this point during the show when we do those phone lines open and full up at the moment here. So just keep it in mind that we'll be doing that throughout the full next hour of the program here. I think we're a little bit too close to the pin. Yeah, a little bit too close to taking the calls right now, but we'll be doing that right after the top of the hour. And just keep that number handy because when one call ends, another becomes available. And it is Monday through Thursday here, so just keep that in mind. I'll put it that way. But, of course, keep that number handy, 915-544-5876-544-KTSM. Some conversation back and forth, particularly on that whole gun buyback program. Again, it's an interesting one. If it can be effective, good, even if there are questions about that. Though some back and forth, including Buddy Bias saying every gun taken off the street is a gun that can't hurt anyone. I mean, again, I get the perspective, though. Trito Sack saying Buddy has his priorities screwed up. Take the bad people off the street. And again, that's kind of part of why I was talking about what has been and some of the efforts in our area. Because, I mean, again, El Paso Police touting results, or at very least, in the duration of that whole operation, more of that. So, I don't know. Whether it's a good thing or not, I'll leave up to the individual to decide here. Just making sure we're doing things that are effective and not just the theater or making you feel good about it. I've talked previously about the concept of helmet laws. That's when it comes to bicycles, actually. The idea that, well, we have done something. We have improved safety when actually looking at the rates of it, as opposed to doing things such as installing like bike lanes, other driver safety training, anything about that, saying like we've done something and therefore we're good to go, when it might actually have the best actual results and outcomes coming from it is a different question, and probably the more important one entirely here. But we got a lot more that we'll get to here. Got to take that top of the hour break right now. And of course, Talk El Paso, brought to you in part by Sunland Park, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Again, their end of celebration sale still going on right now. You can get thousands of dollars cash back on well-qualified buyers, and on some, or even employee pricing for all on some models as well. So see them there, 950 Crockett Street, Sunland Park, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. So taking that break, coming out of here, diving into the phone line, swan diving for the start of the week into all those issues going on and affecting us here in the Borderland. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break and the top of the hour news here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Don't go anywhere.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
No major problems on your Borderland freeways. We have an accident northbound Rich Beam at Zaragoza. Try Pebble Hills or Edgemere to get around the slowing. On the 54 South, Stan Roberts to Kenworthy, it's a 23-minute delay. Global Reach slow southbound from the Expressway to Montana, 13-minute delays. And less than a 5-minute delay, I-10 eastbound Trans Mountain to Red. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
The most current and comprehensive. Just minutes away at the top and bottom of the hour. And always online at KTSMradio.com.
Hey, El Paso, Ivan Ochoa, General Manager of Sunland Park, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Trade up to a new or certified pre-owned vehicle for thousands less. Right now, our prices are the best in town.
Get huge savings on hundreds of new and certified pre-owned vehicles and more for your trade. For a limited time, everyone gets employee pricing on 2023 Jeep Gladiator trucks and super low 1.9% APR for 72 months. Take $6,000 off MSRP on 2023 Ram 1500 trucks or 2.9% APR for 72 months. Take $2,500 $100 off MSRP on 2023 Dodge Charger and Challenger. Get $2,500 off MSRP on 2023 Chrysler 300. Worried about your credit? Or worried that you're upside down on your trade? Our aggressive lenders will push to approve your credit, even if your credit is less than perfect, or if you owe more than your trade is worth. Get huge savings and more for your trade during the Make This the Summer Sales event at Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, at I-10 at Sunland Park Drive, or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 1.9% APR is $14.71, and 2.9% is $15.15 per thousand finance. On select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
There won't be much substance on your news feed until you add us. Just like us or click on the link at kcsmradio.com.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival is coming back to T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas this September.
Superstar artists from every genre.
Streaming live only on Hulu.
Buy tickets now at AXS.com.
Stay informed at kcsmradio.com. News on the hour and the half. Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. President Biden and the First Lady have landed in Hawaii and are set to meet with survivors of the deadly Maui wildfires. The White House says the president plans to tell them he'll provide federal resources for as long as it takes. Tropical Storm Hillary rainfall totals have been tallied, and it was a significant amount of precipitation for some areas. Riverside Public Information Officer Shane Reichert says flooding is an issue.
Well, when they're talking about that nearly 12 inches of rain at Mount San Jacinto, that all drains into that Coachella Valley where Palm Springs and Thousand Palms is. So what you're seeing is the runoff from those mountain communities.
The Malibu Hills got nearly 4.5 inches of rain, and downtown Los Angeles received 2.5. Typical precipitation for August in Southern California is 0. Even Death Valley saw 3 inches of rain and some flooding. IRS and FBI officials are being subpoenaed by House Republicans as part of their investigation into the Hunter Biden tax case. Republicans say they believe the agents have information on a meeting last year attended by special counsel David Weiss and want them to answer questions before Congress. A new report says Donald Trump has already recorded an expected interview with ex-Fox News host Tucker Carlson. More from Lisa Taylor.
The former president intends to skip the first Republican presidential primary debate in Milwaukee Wednesday and instead plans to air the pre-recorded interview with Carlson, according to NBC News. It's not clear where the interview will appear, but Carlson has been releasing interviews on X, formerly known as Twitter, since he was fired by Fox earlier this year. Trump confirmed plans to skip the debate over the weekend, citing his consistent lead in the polls over the field of Republican candidates. I'm Lisa Taylor.
At the closing bell, the Dow Jones lost 36 points to 34,463. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio. A Rutgers University study finds that exposure to the common cold may boost COVID-19 immunity. Sarah Lee Kessler reports.
The common cold and COVID-19 are both coronaviruses, and Rutgers researchers say people who've been exposed to the cold type may also build up pre-existing immunity to its genetic cousin. The scientists, working with researchers at a Nigerian teaching hospital, collected data on individuals both before and after they got COVID shots, and they found that in 83% with common cold exposure, their T cells reacted to COVID-19. They think that could one day lead to a vaccine to protect against future variants. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
A British nurse will spend the rest of her life behind bars after being convicted for killing 7 babies and attacking 6 others. 33-year-old Lucy Letby was found guilty on Friday, and on Monday she became just the 4th woman ever in England to receive a life sentence without parole. New York City MTA commuters are now paying more to get where they need to go. Natalie Migliori has the details.
A subway ride now costs 15 cents more at $2.90, while commuter trains have jumped by roughly 4.5%. Riders say they could be doing something else with that money other than paying for subpar service.
Honestly, probably investing it somewhere else instead of investing it on the MTA.
Make a go towards vacation.
People want to know where their money's actually going.
Because if it was managing the money properly, it wouldn't be so much fare hike.
MTA Chairman Janno Lieber says from now on, the plan is to increase fares by 2% every year, calling it a predictable small bite for riders.
Lana Del Rey is getting ready to hit the road for a small U.S. tour. The singer-songwriter announced a string of 10 shows in September and October. It kicks off in Franklin, Tennessee. Tickets go on sale this Friday. Brian Shook, NBC News Radio.
Now, your chance at $1,000 and a trip to our 2023 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Yeah! Text the nationwide keyword WIN to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's WIN to 200-200.
Get ready to win your way to our 2023 iHeartRadio Music Festival and $1,000.
You'll be there.
T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas.
September 22nd and 23rd.
Streaming live only on Hulu.
The iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Immerse yourself in virtual reality with Kokomo, the new app from Canon. Connect with friends and family live in photorealistic environments. It's like being together even if you're miles apart. Search Kokomo by Canon to download now from the Meta Quest Store, Apple App Store, or Google Play.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Fall into autumn hiring with Indeed. Their all-in-one solution makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates. Sponsor a job and immediately get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hey guys, this is Andrew J. Polk. My not-so-secret way of looking and feeling great is going to Hammer and Nails, El Paso's newest men's grooming destination, with everything about your personal grooming, privacy, and comfort in mind. Ready with your favorite drink at the door. They offer everything from head to toe, hair, beard, mustache, and hand and foot services. You want to find out about their full services and their great memberships. Of course, find them online, hammerandnailsgrooming.com. That's hammer, A-N-D, nailsgrooming.com. And I'll see you there.
Hi, I'm Marissa Thalberg.
And I'm Stephen Wolf Pereira. Come join us for our podcast, Brand New.
So what's really new about Brand New? Well, Stephen and I are not only longtime C-suite executives, we're friends.
Because of that, we've got a lot to say about tech, entertainment, advertising, media, and marketing, what we call team.
It's real talk from the inside, personal talk too, and it's meant for everyone rising in business or just interested in it.
Just look for the Brand New podcast wherever you listen.
It's a brand new conversation you won't want to miss.
El Paso's News Radio, 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days. Anyway, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. A whole lot of things that we're talking about, a lot of things going on in the comments there. And of course, phone lines open if full up at the moment, but they keep that number handy, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Those dropping those likes and reacts that we do appreciate, including Buddy Valles, Matt Olson, RJ, Ion Grib, Ida Beza Gardner, and Angel Rueda, Robbie Flores, and Monica Cervantes, and some interesting conversations, including on the whole gun buyback situation. It's an interesting one, including Buddy Valles putting forth the question anyway about, does anyone have a better idea than a gun buyback program? Something kind of in the vein of that reply to it, John Browson saying mandatory gun training when you buy a weapon. People realize the civil and criminal penalties from shooting and hitting another person, but very few shootings by anyone but a criminal. It's interesting idea. And okay, all other things being equal, all other things being a no response or anything else to a law like that. I mean, I have talked previously in the past, not always often, because I'll go with the flow of the conversation, what is up there and what the issues going on is. But I will say this, that I'm always in favor of more responsibly armed Americans. And so the idea of there being a certain level of knowledge and competency that comes along with that, I mean, if there was no other implications that would come with it, none whatsoever, I would frankly be in favor of the idea of a similar type of like driver's license. We're talking about both in those cases, complex machines that if operated incorrectly can have dire consequences. Now, again, that would only be if there could be no further actions taken on that. So let's just say, given the way the conversation has gone, sometimes I wouldn't hold my breath nor necessarily reasonably expect that to be pushed for in any kind of substantive way. But I'll say that if you're ever out there or considering buying, using, being a practitioner of anything involving guns, firearms, projectile weapons in general, because I've seen people mess up in archery bad enough too. Let's put it that way. Know what you're doing, know what's going on, and make sure you are confident about have someone else with your same level of training being around you. Let's just put it that way here. But a lot more stuff, and Willie Jenkins declaring it a mellow Monday. Hope it's working out that way for you. I'll just kind of keep my eye on that forecast, making sure that my hasty and increasing roof repairs are going to hold. Let's go ahead and jump into those phone lines now. Again, the number, full up at the moment, just keep it handy, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. We do have Raul in the Northeast line with us here right now. Raul, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew. Well, I'm going to call and talk about immigration, one of the favorite issues for your show and your listeners and callers. I heard, by the way, Trump talking recently about it at a rally about how he had been talking to the director of an insane asylum in Latin America, who told him that he and all the other insane asylums and prisons have emptied their facilities, telling these disease-ridden criminals to head to the United States. And then I heard Buck and Clay on this station parroting the same racist, xenophobic rhetoric. But I'm calling to talk solutions, okay? So this is from an article that appeared in the El Paso Matters back in May. It was written by my former editor, Bob Moore. And it's about how El Paso's first Mexican-American woman, Congresswoman Veronica Escobar, and Florida Republican Maria Elvira Salazar offered a bipartisan immigration reform bill. Now, they call it the Dignity Act of 2023. And this act would have granted legal protection to the millions of people currently living in the United States without documents, kind of like those dreamers. I'm sure that's part of that population. And it would have expanded border enforcement agencies and overhauled the asylum process. And here's, for El Paso's benefits, the Dignity Act calls for spending $10 billion over 5 years for expansion and improvement of ports of entry. I was in Juarez this weekend. I mean, the lines are really long over there. And that's where our opportunity lies with that community, us working together to try to make it better for people on both sides of the border. We're sister cities. And in any case, the number of Customs and Border Protection officers, the people who work at the ports of entry, they would grow by about 1,700 more agents to about 27,725 agents. Now the co-sponsor of the bill, this woman, Florida Republican Salazar, she said in a statement that our broken immigration system is frustrating Americans, causing people to suffer, and fracturing our country economically, morally, socially, and politically. A solution is long overdue. But surprise, surprise, the obstruction Republican leadership in the House hasn't allowed the Escobar-Salazar bill to come to a vote. You know, Republicans haven't done squat about this for a long, long time. You know, the MAGA Republican reflective obstructionism comes in spite of the fact that the concept of bipartisan immigration reform has deep support in polling. Bob talked about a recent poll released by the American Immigration Forum, the Bullfinch Group, that said 80% of respondents agreed with this statement. As the U.S. works to restore order at the border, it is important that Republicans and Democrats work together to pass immigration reforms that address labor shortages, inflation, and protect people already here and contributing. But you know, Congress, which as a joke goes is the opposite of progress, has not passed major reform in immigration since 1996. And that's when President Clinton signed the Immigration Reform and Immigration Responsibility Act. By the way, Trumpers, I never voted for the Clintons or any Republicans either, ever, okay? And your party impeached him for lying about a sexual escapade with a consenting adult. Trump has to pay $5 million to a woman he's found to have raped, and he's a leading contender for the Republican presidential nomination. Anyway, back to immigration. The last major attempt at comprehensive immigration reform was in 2013, which generated legislation that passed the Senate but never came to the vote. And guess what? The Republican-controlled House. You know, it seems like Republicans always want this for an issue, a whipping boy. Okay. Now this Dignity Act has provisions that will satisfy supporters of increasing increased border enforcement, and for those who have called for more humane treatment of those coming to our borders and living in the United States without authorization. So there it is, man. $25 billion that it's spent for additional border security, expanding the Border Patrol staffing with 3,000 more agents from 19,000 to 22,000. And it would increase the pay of Border Patrol agents by 14%. And so the reality about it is that illegal immigration in the United States and the number of people working illegally in the U.S., Trump said he was going to round them up and deport 11 million people who are working here illegally. He never did it. He said he was going to build a wall spanning the entire U.S.-Mexican border. It didn't happen, or even get remotely close to it. He said Mexico was going to pay for the wall. Only Mexico ignoramuses would claim or believe that. So the reality is that capitalists love cheap labor, and there are a host of markets, businesses, industries that have a long, long history of employing illegal workers.
Certainly. And of course, we talked about this bill, the one you're talking about, the Dignity Act of 2023, when it was originally proposed back in May. So, I mean, it is somewhat local, and I appreciate you doing the call back to it. Don't think I'm not getting the format here of getting in those jabs in the mix of talking about what we usually do Monday through Friday there, by the way. But I'll just say this, that I'm not going to call that it was dead on arrival. In fact, there's actually a recent release out from particularly the Florida representative, Republican Congresswoman Maria Elvira Salazar, saying as of recent-ish, I guess. It was from the beginning of August, entitled Dignity Act Gains Momentum in the House of Representatives, noting the ones that had signed on to it at the start of it, and saying that there have been more that were wanting or interested in it, and noting that that representative would continue working in Congress to advance the critical bill. And to that specific, and we did talk about that El Paso Matters article at the time, and one of the interesting parts of it, particularly in that poll question, is that should it be worked on? Yes, but my analysis on this anyway continues to be that there are two very different approaches to dealing with. There's a reason I use the phrase border security and immigration, because in my mind, these issues are inextricably linked, though the different aspects of it, those different parts of it, are pretty much the avenues that either party ends up coming at it with. So pretty much the idea of either the border security aspect. I mean, what is the line that often gets used even by other callers here is secure the border first, work on everything else later. Or when it comes to more on the, I'd argue, the Democrat perspective, or just the other side of it, on the idea of we have to deal with the core issues behind it, or, you know, the contributing ones, you know, deal with the people that are being held up with this, all those kind of aspects. So the whole idea of a comprehensive immigration reform would be the solution in my mind. And I would say of the reasonable bills that have been put forth, in any case, there's obviously a lot of suggestions or other discussions that have come up here. Let's just put it this way, that the comprehensive part of this ends up not playing that well, or at the very least the buy-in that comes from it, because, I mean, what did we see during the Trump administration? We saw that the idea of even doing comprehensive there, I mean, there was the pushback on any level of funding for the wall, the kerfuffles that happened on that, the court cases that went to. So, I mean, if you want to accuse the former president of setting out his thing and just not following through on it, kind of not really the story there. There was a whole lot of opposition to it. If you're in favor of the opposition, or what have you, which I would kind of assume that you were, I mean, that's your prerogative, but it wasn't called for a lack of willpower behind the idea, but very much there were those opposed to it as the legislature works. I mean, of course, the legislature is intended to not be a rapid response body. I mean, it's not the executive branch. It can't just take its own action. It has to go through, and it has occasionally in the past been very rapid. I mean, declarations of war or response to major terrorist attacks do come to mind, but otherwise, arguably, and this is from my study of it as well, the purpose of the legislature has been to, maybe not intentionally or explicitly, but it has effectively been to slow roll a lot of things. I mean, the whole idea of not being as responsive to the whims and the humors of the humanity that makes up this country, and instead being a more stable aspect. Whether or not that is totally borne out in the modern sense is another question entirely, and I would argue kind of no, because the idea of being a reasonable, reliable, okay, maybe not reliable, except in the aspect of slow moving on things, is, again, kind of the purpose behind it. And we've also seen the unfortunate very unfortunate, particularly when you look at the vision of the founders and the way I think most people want Congress and the legislature nationally to work overall, is that if you don't have control of everything, seemingly nothing happens. I mean, you look at the debt ceiling fights, even look at the confirmation of generals nationally, and that's been a whole issue. So on this item and on this issue, again, the Dignity Act of 2023, it has very many interesting provisions on it. That gets, I think, the closest that we've reasonably seen to a compromise on comprehensive immigration reform. Whether or not it'll reasonably get through in any of the upcoming sessions is another question entirely, even if there is, again, some optimism being put forth, again, most recently by the representative out of Florida here. So let's go ahead and take that next break right now. Appreciate the point in the call on the local aspects here. Just don't think I'm not noticing the jabs getting in the meantime. And if you think that this format's going to keep working, here's a short answer. No, but we'll take that next break right now. Come back, get to more of the calls, more of the comment, and more of the things that we get into at this point during the show. So lines now open and available, 915-544-5876, 915-544 KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
A couple of crashes in the East Valley, eastbound Montwood at Zaragoza, and police still working an earlier injury accident northbound Rich Beam at Zaragoza. Slow traffic on the 54 southbound Stan Roberts to Kenworthy is a 10-minute delay. Artcraft on-ramp to westbound I-10 still closed today for roadwork. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Dog days of summer got your business needing help? Check out Indeed, an all-in-one hiring solution that makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 toward your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Every day, you breathe in thousands of microscopic germs, allergens, and viruses. Don't let these invisible invaders make breathing through your nose impossible. Flush them out with Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril around the back of the nose and out the other nostril, helping flush out all the nasty things that make you miserable. Nearly 4 million people use Navage to breathe better, snore less, and feel healthier. People like Cindy, a verified Navage user who writes, "I've had such awful nasal congestion for the last couple years. I bought Navage and OMG, I can breathe again. I love this thing. Goodbye, Neti Pot. Hello, Navage." End quote. If you suffer from sinus congestion, allergies, or snoring, then Navage is the safe, drug-free solution you've been looking for. Navage is at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and Navage.com. Navage. Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
For nearly one trusted Blue Star medicated ointment to relieve the pain and itching of almost any skin irritation.
It works on my son's dry, itching feet and their jock itch.
I had this rash on my neck. Nothing worked until Blue Star.
Blue Star worked great on my ringworm without steroids.
My wife and I have been using Blue Star for years. It's never let us down. Look for the white box with the Blue Star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast or your money back.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free. /free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Why should you volunteer with Meals on Wheels?
I never thought that 5 minutes could make so much difference in the lives of 2 people, but it has.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org. Brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, whoever you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app. A lot of ways to interact with the show, add your 2 cents, including, of course, over on the social media, as a lot of different conversations going on there, including about previous callers and other issues. I mean, we dip into and mentioned particularly the local issues or what we're talking about that day. But there's, well, they call it the Thunderdome in a lot of ways. But other things, including some ideas about other programs or issues involving immigration border security. I mean, there's a lot going on there. But let's go back to those phone lines now, as we're getting that into as much as we can throughout the second hour of the program here. So you can keep that number handy, pull up at the moment, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. So with that, we do have Andrew on the west side here with us right now. Andrew, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Andrew, and happy Monday to everybody.
Step to you as well. What's on your mind?
Well, this so-called gun buyback program.
Mm-hmm.
$300,000 approved by the county of El Paso. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. How much are they going to pay per each firearm turned in?
That's one of the remaining questions, and so the funding was approved according to the actual document from county commissioners, as is available from our news partners over at KFOX 14. That amount could include 2 to 3 gun buyback and community-centered gun safety events, and so the expenses that go into it, marketing and communication expenses, and gift cards. So the first one, target date, at least one for October 28th at Escarate Park, or an alternate location also put forth at El Paso County Coliseum. So there might be a couple there. Looking at some of the best practices that were put forth as part of the demonstration and the discussion on the item, including one specific one that was brought from Harris County and the city of Houston. There are a couple of numbers mentioned now, not necessarily what is going into this one, but it's the best kind of example or what is, and part of the provisions of this are interesting as well. But just on the numbers that you're talking about, they are saying that it was $50 for non-functioning firearms, $100 gift card for rifles or shotgun, $150 gift card for handguns, and $200 gift card for a semi-automatic rifle. So that was a previous event. It's not clear, at least immediately, if this is the way it would work during this one, but it was being put forth as one of the examples of how it works. But what I will also say is that from that Houston one, because I know that there were some individuals talking about doing maybe some enterprising efforts, but it is noted on that one that no ghost guns will be accepted. So it has to have been a manufactured and a serial numbered item.
Yeah. Well, $100 for a handgun, there is no way in hell that I'm going to turn in any of my Glock pistols for $100. That's for sure.
Fair enough. And that was actually, it was $150 for handguns. The $100 was for any rifles or shotguns. So $150, though, I'm sure that doesn't change your calculations that much.
No way. No way. They're worth at least 5 times that much. But anyway, the term gun buyback program is a contradiction in terms. The county never sold me a single firearm, Andrew.
Fair enough. And I know that's part of the conversation that goes on this. And again, I think it's most interesting that, again, my understanding is that this item was approved unanimously, though there have been questions about, the actual effectiveness, or will this reduce crime, or is this just a community outreach effort? So, I mean, again, if you're into this, or if you want to, as opposed to, because I know there are certain individuals out there being like, hey, I inherited something and I don't know what to do about it. Say, if you're really just that hell-bent against not having it, sure, this may work out better for you in the long run, though I guess that's not the person I was concerned about having guns on the street with anyway in the first place, except for maybe the safe storage part.
It's feel-good legislation. And, one thing for sure, I would like to see the county of El Paso's license to sell firearms, their federal firearms license, because it is essentially engaging in the commerce of firearms. You're buying back not buying back, but you're purchasing firearms from the population as a whole.
And assumedly in bulk. I will say that, though, just a little bit more broadly, some of the implications that I've been hearing about FFLs, as you're talking about there, have been more along the lines of profiting from the enterprise. Or at the very least, that seems to be at least some of the implications about the tact that the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosive is taking with it, including the idea that there were some efforts in previous years, including some people I know that were mildly effective of trying to effectively crack down on what were called the kitchen table FFLs, where it wasn't a full-time business, but really just registered at someone's domicile, that kind of thing. And now the idea seems to be along the lines of if someone makes a profit off of firearms, that they, even if it's a private sale, small collection, that kind of thing, that they would be, well, they get more scrutiny on that aspect of, is what I've been hearing of recently.
Well, the scrutiny is going even further. Engaging in a simple term, engaging in the trade. That's what they're focusing on now. But like I said, and my last point on this is that there's no empirical evidence that these programs work, Andrew. Like I said, you're not going to get the guns away from the people that are not supposed to have them. That's the thing. Yeah, and even. It's just not going to work. I mean, if I guess I suppose if I had a piece of junk that's falling apart that I inherited, I'd probably see if I could get $150 for it. But then again, Andrew, I could make more money selling it for parts.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I think there is still, unfortunately, a divide in society between those that use, understand, and are proficient with these kind of things, and effectively everyone else. Because, again, I have seen some examples of rare and even historic firearms ending up in this kind of circumstance, of which I didn't see the exact end result of it, but I think it's pretty fair to assume that en masse destruction would be the planned outcome of this, which, particularly when we talk about the historic aspects of some of these things, ends up being very tragic indeed in my mind.
Yeah, but Andrew, in my opinion, and this is my opinion only, it's symbolic BS. Okay, and I'm complying with the FCC rules.
Hey, appreciate the thought towards that, and appreciate the point in the call. You have a good one there.
Likewise, take care.
All right, and with that, we'll go ahead and take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, we'll talk more about the things going on and affecting us here in the Borderland. So stay tuned. We'll talk El Paso after this. Again, that number, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this KFOX 14 news update. El Paso County Commissioners voted unanimously today in favor of a gun buyback program. The program would allow gun owners to voluntarily surrender any firearms in exchange for cash, vouchers, gift cards, or similar items in value. The county hopes that by lowering the number of guns in the community, the crime rate will decline. Commissioner Carlos De Leon presented the item on the agenda and is looking to secure $300,000 for the program. The county says the money will come from the federal government's American Rescue Plan. One person was taken to the hospital with serious injuries after being hit by a car in West El Paso. It happened late last night on Remcon Circle and Mesa Street. That crash prompted all lanes on Mesa to be closed for several hours. No word yet on any possible arrests. This has been your KFOX 14 news update. I'm Robert Olgain.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
A couple of crashes in the East Valley, eastbound Montwood at Zaragoza, and police still working an earlier injury accident northbound Rich Beam at Zaragoza. Slow traffic on the 54 southbound Stan Roberts to Kenworthy is a 10-minute delay. Artcraft on-ramp to westbound I-10 still closed today for roadwork. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery. A tropical disturbance moving toward the borderland could help to kick up our storm chances some for our Tuesday and Wednesday. That's what we're going to be watching. And as a result, not as hot. So good news there. Breezy to windy for tomorrow. High around 96 degrees with a 30% chance of showers, possibly a thunderstorm. Breezy conditions for our Wednesday, 30% chance with high around 87. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples has great prices on everything you need for back to school. Right now, a 24-pack of Crayola crayons and comp books are just 50 cents each, and select notebooks are just 35 cents each. In-store only. Offer ends 8/26, limit 30. School on, save on at Staples.
With the Autio app riding shotgun, every road trip is an adventure.
Autio is my traveling companion. It's educational, entertaining, funny. It makes the drive come to life.
The Autio app automatically plays you stories about the natural wonders, local legends, and fascinating histories outside your car window, with over 10,000 unique stories from coast to coast.
I've learned more about my hometown from the Autio app than I did growing up here.
Autio, the perfect companion for your next road trip. Learn more at autio.com.
Protection for all, peace of mind for you. For over 40 years, Mazer Security Alarms has proudly served El Paso with superior service and superior protection. You can afford the best. For your free quote or to upgrade your existing system, call Mazer Security Alarms at 915-590-0033.
Good news, El Paso. The WorkSafe Texas Summit is coming, and it's absolutely free. You don't want to miss this exciting opportunity to get important information that can help you protect your workers. Texas Mutual Insurance Company's innovative safety event features panel discussions, safety materials, and more. It's free, it's informative, and we're even providing breakfast. So join us from 8 to 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday, September 19th at the Hotel Paso del Norte. Register at texasmutual.com/summit.
Fall into autumn hiring with Indeed. Their all-in-one solution makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates. Sponsor a job and immediately get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit. This report is sponsored by Indeed.com.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Do flowers have best friends? I don't know. Hey, look. Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages. We're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, more or less the main one, where a lot of commentaries including the super big brain, galaxy brain discussion going on, including Lupinato saying let's pass laws to make crime illegal, and Buddy Baez wholeheartedly agreeing. So now that's a great idea. I'm sure all the criminals will change their ways, and also doing the whole town crier act. Hear ye, all crimes are now illegal. I mean, I think at least some of this is tongue-in-cheek, but I mean, sure, yeah, let's make crime illegal, even though that's kind of a tautology. If it's a crime, it's therefore illegal. But I will say, in the larger way of it, it kind of has big energy of, well, we're going to outlaw war, as people were doing, turn of the previous century. Let's outlaw war, and there will be no more war. Like, I mean, okay, if you're not thinking about how you're going to achieve something, there are a lot of great plans that sound fantastic on paper. Again, along the lines of everyone should be happy, taken care of, etc. And yeah, that'll be great. How are you going to do it is always the devil in the details. I mean, Buddy also putting up in the challenge of, okay, it's easy to hate on. I'll just quote him directly. What he said, it's easy to not like the gun buyback program, but I challenge anyone to come up with a better solution. I mean, it's a fair discussion point here. I just kind of concerned of the, again, not exactly security theater aspects of it, but of the, if it stops there, if it's just we have achieved something, as opposed to, what has been seen in the community, including along the lines of specific efforts and enforcement going on with local authorities in a variety of different ways, including, again, I just feel the need to mention that there is that El Paso Matters has it under their week ahead. The title of it is EPISD drops mandatory PE for elementary school students, which is its own thing that we haven't really dug into that much, but they do have it further down. Again, the El Paso County Sheriff's Office and County Court Administration has put out the list of more than 4,000 active misdemeanor warrants, and they do have it be the searchable list, and it has been publicly released, so someone could also search up you. So if you're not sure about your status, I'm just saying maybe go check it. Particularly if I've had people I knew that were like having traffic courts or anything related to that kept getting pushed back, delayed, or status uncertain. I think they finally got it dealt with. But hey, if you got any questions, they've got the searchable list over on their site, elpasomatters.org. Anyway, let's delve right back into the phone calls here right now. We do have Marco over in Central on the line with us right now. Marco, thanks for joining us.
How's it going, Andrew?
Doing all right there. What's on your mind?
My fear with these buybacks are always, where's the money going? Where are the weapons going? Because you can sell the weapon, that's fine, but who's selling the weapon? A criminal who just stole the weapon? I mean, so he stole the weapon, went and used the weapon for criminality, and now the state's like, here, dude, have a reward for the weapon you just stole. Just why I don't like that idea of a buyback. It just seems in a weird way, maybe it rewards the people that you just don't want. And government shouldn't be buying weapons in the first place. It's none of their business who owns weapons. That's one man's opinion.
It's an interesting concept. I've had also other implications. I'm not aware of any actual examples of this, but of the concern, at least, of it being able to then, since it's no questions asked, being able to use essentially to dispose of what has been used in a crime. That's another concern and another way I've heard that put.
I mean, that's a good way of like, oh, here, let me go shoot somebody. Here you go, have my weapon, and now it's gone. This is a dumb idea. And plus, I wouldn't trust the city to do that, considering you have rampant criminality happening with the city council and all across the board. And that's why I really wanted to call you today, because I was really thinking about it over the weekend. How many years the people of El Paso have had to endure poor leadership, have had to endure philanthropists that come in here and they give you the spiel that something's going to, and nothing ever happens. They all come in here, they pat their backs, they tear buildings down, they give millionaire stadiums. And where are the people? They never get thought of. The people always get left behind. And so, I was thinking of the election going forward and why I'm running for mayor. And I want my mayoral race to become a referendum on the city of El Paso, on the government, the philanthropists, the people that have come in here and promised so much and delivered so little. Not only that, I want my election to become a mandate. And I'm going to work hard, Andrew, because I'm going to come in with the most votes any mayor has come in. And the reason I want to work at it this way is because I want the weight of the people behind me. So when the city council turns around and says no, I'll be like, fine, we'll put it on the ballot and we'll have the people vote yes. And we're gonna make things different, and we're gonna make them work functionally for the people of El Paso, because they've been taken advantage of for far too long. If you're sick and tired out there of working long hours, of having your city take advantage of you, if you're a city worker who's just like, you know what, why am I even here? It doesn't seem like anybody's listening. I want you to know help's coming. And when I get elected, the people are going to get elected, because the people are going to be represented in my campaign, in my administration. And I'm going to level a challenge to Jordan Foster. Okay. I hear they're dead set on doing the laundromat with the cafeteria concept in the downtown area for the Crest building.
Right. Okay.
I feel like, and this is part and parcel to how tone deaf these people are. Okay. So there's a year, Mr. Jordan, Mr. Foster, I'm challenging you to get a Target into the downtown area. So people have access to the dry goods, because there's already supermarkets there. But guess what? There's no major supermarket. There's no major outlet for dry goods like Target, like Walmart. There's others. Please, I implore you to rethink about, other than putting mediocre things in an iconic building. You should really rethink that. But I will tell you why, with a caveat. If by the time I get into office, because the people want change and they mandate my mayoral acceptance, I promise you, Jordan, okay, and now I'm going to refer to you by your first name. I promise you, I will look at eliminating and getting rid of the contract with the city that you have with your baseball team. And that's where we'll start. And if you still insist on keeping the laundromat in the Crest building, I will move and I will find every avenue to have that building eminent domain away from you. And we will get somebody that is interested in advancing the ball. You can be part of the solution because I have great plans for El Paso. The people deserve it. But it starts with you, the philanthropist of El Paso. Stop being the roadblock that impedes the progress of El Paso. It's okay if you come and make money. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't make money off the back of the people of El Paso. They don't deserve that. And that's my challenge to you.
It's an interesting concept, and again, the idea of and target as in the retail store, as opposed to it may have been interpreted as targeting downtown, but bringing some kind of big box retail and particularly grocery service downtown. What you're wanting the focus on to be there is what you're talking about, right?
Absolutely, downtown can become a brand new area of development, guys. I have a super plan that I want to talk about tomorrow, but this is part and parcel why we have to change the way we view our city, because it starts in the downtown area. But my plan for any philanthropist, any architect, I'm reaching out to you guys. Come to me, because you know what I want to do? I want to start to focus on the underprivileged side of El Paso, the other side of I-10. See, because we have the nice side of I-10, but we also have the other side of I-10. And there's a lot of underprivileged vecindades that aren't being represented, that have poor quality parks, that have they don't have any rec centers. And by the way, Raul, I'm going to take you up on that challenge. I'm going to reach out to Trump myself. I'm going to find a way to reach out to him, and I'm going to tell him that I think he needs to pay that money back to us. I think you're right. But you know what I'm going to do with that money? I'm going to find the most underprivileged barrio in El Paso that needs help. I'm going to take that money. I'm going to build a rec center. We're going to call it the Donald Trump Rec Center. And that's my plan, to take that money that he owes the city and put it to good use. Now, you might not agree on the name of it, but that's what or we can call it the George Washington or the Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
Something that represents America. Because I'll be sure as hell I'm not going to call it the Cesar Chavez, the Mao Zedong, or anything stupid like that. We're Americans in this country. This is the uniting factor. And again, Marco for mayor, I'm running to unite people. I'm running to unite our country. I'm running to unite our city. And I'm reaching out to Juarez, because this doesn't stop there. Juarez they're our sister city, and we need to stop doing damage to them as well. And so I'm going to find ways to make our region so awesome, because El Paso is going to become the premier city of Texas. That's my commitment to you.
I will say that particularly, I mean, the voter turnout has been a major issue. I mean, we have had something that could be argued was, well, as close as you end up getting to landslides in the recent timeframes with it was the runoff election in 2012 in December between Oscar Leeser and then Mayor DeMargo, where Leeser got just shy of 80% of the vote, though I will say that the total amount of votes cast in that contest was about just about under 55,000 votes overall. So the vote issue and getting people out to vote is still a pretty significant, even something where, again, the results could be argued to be a landslide. The percentage of the voting population that is represented in El Paso from that is, I mean, there was a 13% voter turnout for that election overall.
Well, it's the outreach, brother. And I'm going to go to every part of this city, because I want people to know we're serious. We're not fooling around here. It takes, and let me tell you something, it takes testicular fortitude to come out on your radio show and tell a millionaire, you're going to do this because it's good for the city, or X, Y, and Z is going to happen. Don't fool around. Don't find out, because I'm serious. This city has been so abused. The people have been so abused. And so I'm reaching out to every citizen, every resident of this city. Be proud of your city. You have such a beautiful city. Let's make a statement to the politicians, to the rich people of the city that just come in here, make money off of your hard work, and let's send a message. Let's get 100,000. Let's get 200,000. shoot, I'm shooting for 300,000. This way the city council knows. You tell me no on an initiative for the citizens of this city, we'll put it on the ballot and the people will vote on it, because we're never going to take no when the people are involved. That's where my first principles come from. The people deserve better. Marco for mayor. I love you guys. Take care, Andrew.
Well, sure. Appreciate the point in the call. You have a good one there.
Thank you, brother.
I mean, I would personally love to see an election that has 300,000 people. I mean, that would be roughly, with the, again, from that time frame, the registered voters at that point was 421,000. The most recent one, let me pull that up here real quick, from 2023. Well, that wasn't the most recent uniform election. Well, I might have it on there. Let me see. But the most recent numbers on total amount of registered, 455,000, and that was an 11% turnout with 53,000 ballots cast. So I'm not willing to hold my breath, though. I do think it's a worthy thing to strive for, to get more people involved. More than 1 in 10 or 11, 12 out of 100 if the registered voters in our county being involved in it is a good thing overall, and I'm never going to bash anyone saying that that's their goal, though the devil, again, is always in the details, and getting there is difficult indeed. I think we have time for at least one more call on the line here, squeezing in what we can at the end of the program. We do have Frankie and Messia on the line with us here right now. Frankie, thanks for joining us.
Marco, you are not serious. You want to get back the money that orange yam owes you folks in El Paso. Turn it around, give it to the barrio. Okay, that's good. And then name a restaurant after him? Are you serious, Marco? No, you're not serious. Now, let me say this. Are you talking about gun buyback stuff here in El Paso? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the El Paso County Commissioners approved an effort to move forward with that, at least one expected to come up towards the end of October.
Well, that is ridiculous. It is such a useless exercise and nothing. I mean, the only people that turn their guns in want some couple pennies on a dollar on guns that don't work, don't look good, nothing. And people are not turning in the kind of weapons that they want. It's such a useless exercise. It's futile. Now, let me just say this. I heard Friday, and I'm listening. I got my beer in hand and my shot of whiskey, and all of a sudden, who comes on the radio? Barbara.
Yes.
Poking her finger in my eye and being snippy about it. And saying, hey, Frankie, did you hear about that? What do you think of that, Frankie? You know that, Frankie? And everything she was saying was nothing but a regurgitation of what she heard on one Un-America News or Foul Noise Network. Come on, Barbara. Get a brain and use your own thought process other than spouting off something from Tucker Carlson for crying out. I can't believe you live in the land of enchantment, because I don't know how that works. I don't know how you could be a person living in the land of enchantment and be so unenchanted. And that's my rant for the day.
Fair enough. And I think, in credit where it's due, she said she's at least temporarily in the land of enchantment, calling in from Cloudcroft at the time, I do believe.
Well, that's even better. So she's not a permanent resident of our great state of the land of enchantment. So she goes back to that tub of Texas twist. Okay, that fits her better than being in the land of enchantment. But anyway, come on, call back, Barbara. Use your own thought process and spouting off some nonsense that you hear on right-wing TV, radio, and wherever. Anyway, that's all my rant for the day.
Fair enough. Well, thank you for the point in the call. Do appreciate it.
Okay, Andrew, take care.
And with that, we do have to take that next break right now. There's a whole lot of things more going on in the comments, of course, among other things, but there's a whole lot more to be talked about there. But we got to tell you what we got coming up for you on the program, among other things. Taking that next break right now, coming back, a bit more Talk El Paso. So stay tuned here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Don't go anywhere.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690
A serious crash westbound Montwood at Zaragoza has traffic lanes closed. 2 right lanes are closed between Zaragoza and Firehouse on Montwood Drive. Traffic is backed up. An injury accident northbound Mesa at Rio Grande towards downtown is slowing traffic. Expect delays there. Rich Beam northbound at Zaragoza, an earlier crash. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Off.
Off Clean Feel, so I can accessorize with studs and not with mosquitoes. I can wear my classic white crop and flag panel jeans and know that I'm covered with 8 hours of not sticky, fragrance-free protection. Get your pre-party protection on with Off Clean Feel. SC Johnson.
Hey, El Paso, Ivan Ochoa, General Manager of Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. Trade up to a new or certified pre-owned vehicle for thousands less. Right now, our prices are the best in town.
Get huge savings on hundreds of new and certified pre-owned vehicles and more for your trade. For a limited time, everyone gets employee pricing on 2023 Jeep Gladiator trucks and super low 1.9% APR for 72 months. Take $6,000 off MSRP on 2023 Ram 1500 trucks or 2.9% APR for 72 months. Take $2,500 off MSRP on 2023 Dodge Charger and Challenger. Get $2,500 off MSRP on 2023 Chrysler 300. Worried about your credit or worried that you're upside down on your trade? Our aggressive lenders will push to approve your credit, even if your credit is less than perfect or if you owe more than your trade is worth. Get huge savings and more for your trade during the Make This the Summer Sales event at Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat at I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus DTNL. 1.9% APR is $1,471 and 2.9% is $1,515 per thousand finance. On select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
Did you know that driving under the influence of marijuana is illegal? Driving high will get you a DUI. And if you're wondering if law enforcement can tell you're driving high, well, everyone else can. Friends?
I can tell you drove high.
Parents?
I can tell when you drive high.
Relatives?
I can tell. You drove here high, didn't you?
So what makes you think law enforcement can't?
I can tell.
If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. Paid for by NHTSA.
School on! Save on!
Back to school is on, and Staples has great prices on everything you need for your best year yet. Save on notebooks, save on headphones and laptops, save on pens, markers, and all the essentials. And right now at Staples, 24-pack Crayola crayons and comp books are only 50 cents each. Plus, select notebooks are just 35 cents each. School on, save on at Staples, where school savings are always in session. Ends 8/26, in-store only, limit 30.
Did you know that only 2 in 10 El Paso County students graduate with a bachelor's degree? By supporting Border Youth Athletic Association's mission of educational attainment, you will create a long-lasting impact in our students' lives. Your monthly donation enables 4th through 12th grade students access to after-school programs, providing a safe and healthy environment. BYAA engages and empowers El Paso's future through mentorship and leadership development. We believe every player who gets an education wins. Do you? Go to borderyouth.org and show your support for our youth today.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for having joined us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. Covered a lot of ground here today, but of course keep doing that as we do every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Some notable artwork that's gone on in and around the region that we'll talk a little bit further about, some new murals and stuff about local issues. I know there's been a lot of a conversation on that in the past here. Even more issues going on. Again, that whole PE and EPISD, or just schools in general. The governor's visit to the border, along with several other governors being raised as a support of him kind of thing. We'll talk further about that. Some of the interviews we're working on for y'all as well, including about fentanyl prevention, a whole lot more about also, well, housing in El Paso, particularly the rights back and forth, both for landlords and tenants. Some upcoming events on that as well. So we'll talk further about that. And as always, just more focused conversation on everything that is going on in and around and affecting us here in the Borderland, much as we can squeeze in every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. in any case here. So it's Monday through Thursday anyway. And then, yeah, Free for All Friday is always around the corner. But I'll leave it there for today. Out of time here for this program. I do want to thank everyone that did tune in, call in, comment, participate in the show. We'll do it again tomorrow, as we do again, Monday through Friday. So until then, until next time, I want you all to stay safe out there. Look twice for motorcycles when out on the road, and have a great evening, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow.